Coming up on Locked On NBA Daily, the Knicks are champions, but can they do it again? We'll break down what's next for New York and the Spurs after the finals. Plus, teams are reportedly eyeing Trae Young as a backup plan if they miss out on Giannis. And a surprising development at the top of the NBA draft could shake up the first few picks. Locked On NBA Daily starts now.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. I'm Wes Goldberg here with Moore and Haize. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. We have a ton of news to get to today. We've got reports of teams making Trae Young a plan B if they don't get Giannis, and some news at the top of the NBA draft. But let's start with the champs. The Knicks are celebrating their finals when they're making late-night TV appearances. They've scheduled their parade for Thursday. Everybody is celebrating the Knicks' first title in 53 years. But is this a team that can make it back to the finals? Because we looked at teams like Denver after 2023, Boston after 2024, the Thunder last year. The conversation around those teams was a lot of how many more can they win? Matt, I don't know that we're having that same kind of conversation around these Knicks. Is that a mistake? And what do the Knicks have to do to get back to the finals next year?
I mean, it's mostly that we've caught up. Like we kept doing this, and it was like, look, we've had 5 different champions in 5 years. We have 6 different champions in 6 years. We had 7 different champions in 7 years, and we just didn't listen. It's now 8. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, probably not. The Knicks are not going back to the finals. This is not me disrespecting the Knicks. It's not that they didn't have. They had what I think is probably the best run in NBA history. Like I think this is better than the 2017 Warriors run. I think it's better. Like the Bulls run, surprisingly, didn't have with Jordan, didn't have one where it was like, oh my God, they just killed everyone. Like you'd think they did. And they just had normal series and won. Those teams were greater. Let's be clear. I think those were greater teams, but the run itself, they literally have the best point differential in NBA playoff history. The Knicks do. That's it. That's it. You can't repeat that. You're not going to get the shot variance that they did. You're not going to get the breaks that they did. You're not going to get the injury luck that they did. You're not going to get the kind of opponents that they did. The Knicks are not going back to the finals. We will have a different Eastern Conference champion next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense. You can't really argue poking any holes in Matt's logic there. Like the way that the NBA is going, it'd be a long shot for them to make it back to the NBA Finals. But I propose this to you. We've talked about if the Knicks did have a disappointing finish to the finals, that they could pivot and look for a star. Do they get ahead of this actually and try to make, now maybe not the Giannis move, but do they actually get ahead of this and try to make a move to strengthen their chances to go to the Knicks rather than just keep it the same? Would you still feel the way if they made some type of move?
Yes, because I think you're disrupting what made them so good, which is continuity and chemistry. They won with the power of friendship. And that's awesome. And again, it's wonderful and it's a great story. I say all these things and it sounds like it's fake. I mean it. This is one of the great sports stories of the 20s.
It really is. Yeah.
It's an incredible story. This is something that Knicks fans get to feel good about forever. But as an analyst, if you're asking me to be well, what's going to happen with it? I can't be the power of friendship shall triumph once again. No, you're probably going to get beat by a better team when you don't have as good shooting luck, and injuries are probably going to hit you more than they did this season. That's just how it goes.
You're probably right based on history, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've had a different representative from the Eastern Conference over and over and over and over again. The Knicks are very talented, though. And I'm not saying that they're the most talented team in the Eastern Conference, but when you look at that roster, you got Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, Karl-Anthony Towns, the way that he's played, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart has been a really good role player for a lot of years. I mean, this isn't just a group that got hot all of a sudden. What teams in the East are as talented as the Knicks?
That's a good question. Right now, I think we don't have a lot. I think the Cavs are very talented. I think talented Cavs are very talented.
The Cavs are extremely talented.
Pistons probably have an ability to get there. They have a lot of talent. People don't understand. People are just well, Sar can't shoot, and it's yeah, but what if he does? Yeah. The Pistons have an insane amount of talent. I think there are talented teams. Actually, I think the Sixers are very talented. They have VJ and Tyrese and Joel and Paul George, who had a great playoff run. They're very talented. I think talent isn't really. I don't think the Knicks won because they were more talented. I think the Knicks won because they were able to find the answers that they needed to series by series.
They said they were the team of destiny, and that's really what this whole series felt like for them. Like it felt like things just came together. And it's not a knock on the Knicks to say that they aren't going to repeat, but like I do think that a lot of teams in the East. I mean, the Boston Celtics are still extremely talented. Like there are teams that are talented in the East. I think it's going to be fun to watch. I think this is the first time in a few years where every team in the East that made the playoffs was an above 500 record. The East is going to be. And the Pacers are getting better too. The East is going to be really deep next year.
They might. Here's a comp for you though. They might be the 05 Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like Pistons go and they pull off this incredible win versus the super team Lakers that had Karl Malone and Gary Payton next to Shaq and Kobe, and it was an incredible story. And the Pistons, very much like the Knicks, won with the power of friendship. They just won it with the power of friendship and hating you and making you miserable with their defense. Yeah. Then the next year they get back to the finals and they face the Spurs and they lose. And that to me is like a pretty decent chance of happening here, because also if you look at it, like the Knicks are racking up some real success in terms of conference finals and winning playoff series. Like this is not like a first round team that just suddenly won the title, right? It's like second round conference finals title.
Yeah. And to you guys' point, like they're the team that figured it out. And I would say the problem with those other teams in the East for so long is their inability to figure it out. Cleveland's inability to figure out, Boston's inability to change the way that they play when they probably should. There are other teams in there, but I do think the Knicks have a decent shot in making it back. But like you guys said, it's not like we're watching some sort of dominant team that,
like a good
they might
shot.
not even enter as the favorites, to win the East next year, which is kind of crazy.
Well, and like a good shot in the NBA is like 30%. That's like a really good shot. They've probably got somewhere between a 20 and 30% shot of making it back to the finals.
I think to start off a season, say you have a 30% chance to get to the finals. That's huge.
Yeah, I think everybody would take that.
Yeah.
The other side of this is the San Antonio Spurs. They're a team that everybody figures is kind of the opposite of the Knicks. They're going to be competing for titles for years. But Matt, you pointed this out on yesterday's show, just like those 2012 Thunder with Durant, Harden, Westbrook, Ibaka. Like we thought those teams would be in the finals multiple times. They never made it back after 2012. We know that these things are not guaranteed. What do the Spurs need to do to get back to the finals, Haize?
I think they need to do what the Thunder didn't do. Keep the team together. Keep their young core together. Part of what the Thunder did that they never got back there again is they trade James Harden when they didn't necessarily need to. I think that the Thunder need to keep the castle, Harper, keep all your young pieces together. Let these guys keep developing together. You may not get back there as soon as next year, but I think you have a really good chance to get back there over the length of their careers, because these guys are all still scratching the surface. Like we talked about every day now with Wemby. Like Wemby is still developing a lot, right? Harper and Castle still developing their chemistry. So I think that they just need to stay the course and keep that young core together, and that's what's going to maximize the chance for them to get back to the finals.
First off, there will be a book. I will not get to write it. I'm not good enough, but there will be a book someday that will tell the real story of what happened with James Harden and OKC, and I guarantee you, a lot of people are going to be like, oh, I should not have said those things. Second, I go back and forth on this because I think Haize is absolutely right that like the talent development is there. Similar to OKC, one of the questions is good. They're so young that they've got another 2 years of being able to run this back. So the question is, can you get healthy enough, lucky enough health-wise to be able to make the run that you need to? After that, I think it's going to become like there is not going to be enough room for Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox. And right now, everyone is like, well, this is not a question. You just get rid of Fox. Why would you not get rid of Fox? Come on, look at him. He's sucked in the finals. The Spurs, surprisingly, do not act like 23-year-olds on Twitter. And so they take a much broader view of these things, and their evaluations will be built on other things. So I'm just like very curious to see how that kind of works out. The other thing I will say is they need to add some more size. It did feel, even though like the numbers wise, like though they handled the rebounding battle and all these individual elements, they just need a higher level of physicality. I just think that Castle, Harper, Vassell, Champagny, Wemby is too small, and they're facing a problem I think a lot of teams are, which is like there aren't a lot of good power forwards right now. That's where we are very low right now on two things: pure point guards and power forwards. That's the two things that we don't have in the league right now. And trying to find those things, I think, are going to be really important. The biggest thing, I agree with Haize. They got to keep the core together. You got to evolve it. Like you're going to need to add in new pieces. the Harrison Barnes needs to turn into a player that they feel like they can use.
Yeah, it's
Do you
almost
think
like
that could be Carter Bryant?
No, because I've watched Carter Bryant play.
I'm still high on Carter Bryant.
I
No,
still
he'll
think
be
he has
good.
tons of
He
potential.
showed some real flashes, but like again, that's like 3 or 4 years down the line. I think for them to get back to the finals in the next 4 years, they're going to need like a guy.
Maybe the lesson isn't like steer away from what the 2012 Thunder did. Maybe do a little bit more of what the 2024 Thunder did, where you went out and added a couple of key outside pieces with Caruso and Hartenstein to shore up some of those weaknesses. They technically held the Knicks to a pretty poor offensive rating. Like defensively, you look at the numbers and they were fine. To your point, Matt, right? Like you just but watching those finals games, it stressed them out to their limit to even do that to the Knicks. They never had an answer for Cat. That's why Wemby had to keep ending up on Cat in crunch time over and over and over again. If they had like another option there, it just felt like, that's probably a team need that they could look for. It doesn't mean they need to go get a star. Doesn't mean they need to go get Giannis. To Haize's point, like I don't think you need to make that big of a move, but get a couple of role players to shore up some of those weaknesses.
He's gonna laugh. You know who'd be really good on this team? Dean Wade.
I actually think he would. No, I actually think he would be. They need a player that doesn't need a lot of shots to be effective. Can do I actually agree with you on that one.
Free agent Dean Wade.
I had Dean Wade as the X factor in that Cavs Knicks series. I'm like, if he can guard Cat, that could be a big difference. Turns out the Cavs are. They did not know that. Another day of the Giannis saga, and this time we have some news on a surprising Plan B that could evolve for some teams that don't get Giannis. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Daily is brought to you by Game Time. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprise fees, buying tickets can sometimes feel harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Game Time. It's the app built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive savings opportunities that help you get to the events that you want without the usual hassle. My biggest pet peeve is when you think you found a great deal, you get all the way to checkout, and then bam, suddenly the final price looks completely different than it did before. Game Time takes that out of the equation. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo. Missed calls and slow follow-ups can cost businesses more than they realize. Every unanswered call, forgotten text, or delayed response could mean a missed opportunity, a lost customer, or revenue left on the table. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo. It's spelled Quo. It's the business communication system built so you never miss a call. Quo brings your team's calls, texts, and customer conversations together all in one place, helping businesses stay organized, responsive, and connected. Quo simplifies communication for an entire team. Instead of juggling multiple phones, inboxes, message threads, everyone stays on the same page and focuses on serving their customers. As a customer, there's nothing worse than reaching out and feeling like your message disappeared into that void. Businesses that respond quickly stand out, and Quo helps make that possible by keeping every conversation visible and organized. We've all seen situations where one person has the information and everybody else is playing catch up. Quo solves that by giving the entire team visibility into calls, texts, and customer conversations so nothing slips through the cracks. Money is on the line. Always say hello with Quo. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's quo.com/lockedonnba. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, the best way to support the show. Subscribe on YouTube. We air Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. I want to get to this report from Jake Fisher, who reported late on Monday night that teams around the league are looking at a potential Trae Young trade. Interesting for a million different reasons, guys. We thought, first of all, Trae Young was going to sign an extension with Washington. Could still be the case, but look, if the Wizards want to go in another direction, Young could be a backup plan for those teams that end up missing out on Giannis. Here's more from Locked On Bucks on what this means for the Giannis landscape.
But I just want to point out that Mark Stein mentioned the fact that Miami could also be interested in Trae Young if things don't work out with them trying to acquire Giannis. And to me, that says whatever other offers are out there for Giannis, the Bucks are really considering that at the moment. So the Heat have to start putting some contingency plans in the background, which again, that's good GMing. That's how you're supposed to do things. You can't count on something happening before it actually happens. That's like thinking you're about to get paid thousands of dollars and you start spending your money before you get it. And then next thing you know, the money never comes and now you're in debt. So you got to make sure you have contingency plans in place. But hearing that Miami's already kind of like, hey, Trae Young could be a nice target if we don't get Giannis is kind of like a,
Are we all going, here, Matt? Muted.
Sorry, I do that when you're on commercial. Okay. All right. Here's the deal. I will go a step further than Camille. This is not that the Bucks are seriously considering those other offers. This is the ploy. I mentioned this earlier in the week. I said that you were going to hear. First, I said Miami's interest is very real and those talks are considerable. You're going to hear about other teams because they're hoping somebody else comes in. They're going to use the Miami offer as a baseline. Then I told you earlier this week, I said, don't be surprised if you start hearing Miami interested in other people because they're over leveraged. Everyone in the league knows that Miami has to get Giannis or they are grade A screwed. They are absolutely up a creek if they do not get Giannis. So what do? You start talking about like, we don't need Giannis. We might go get Trae Young. I don't know what that does with the Bucks. Bucks are probably like, cool, good luck with that. The interesting thing here that you got to note is that from Fisher, the way this is worded, this is really important when you're reading this stuff online. And if you're seeing it on social media, click on the link, actually read the article, go find out what it says.
Thank you.
Because this is what it actually says here is instead of it saying something about like, oh, the Hawks might be able to blah, 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 blah. The Hawks might be considering, No, it is other teams are interested in Trae Young. Other teams are interested in Trae Young. Wizards point guard Trae Young has emerged as another big fish backup option for the Miami Heat, and that other teams are interested. I've also been advised that there are a few teams out there which have begun weighing the prospect of pursuing the 4-time NBA All-Star. None of this is coming from the Wizards. Hypothetically, I would tell you that there's a very good chance that Trae Young signs a 3-year, $120 million offer. Hypothetically, that is what I would tell you is probably going to happen. All of this is negotiating through the media, Wes.
So the insinuation being there that it might be coming from Trae Young's side.
No, this is coming from this is coming from Miami. That's where this is coming from. This is a leverage play by Miami to get
leverage play from Miami. I thought you meant like a leverage play for Trae Young to get a bigger contract.
No, it's
okay.
Yeah, no, Trae's good. I genuinely think if Trae does want more, right, that's where they might start having a stall out. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe Trae's looked at this other offer. That could be the case. I'll say this because I don't know this. That could be the case that another team's like, well, we'll give you 4 years, 160. And if that's the case, then Trae's probably like,
That would be tampering, wouldn't it?
I am shocked to find there's tampering in this league.
Haize, what do you think this says about Miami's chances to land Giannis?
I mean, here's the thing. Like Miami, you guys know, I still think Miami's put together the best offer that they can. I think Miami has the best offer that they can, unless they find to reroute Tyler Hero somewhere else and get whatever. The key part in all this is Giannis. I think that's the part. The biggest leverage is Giannis. If Giannis says, I'm only going to sign a contract extension with Miami or Boston, those are the two teams that you have. Like that's it. Like, and Brian, as much as we're talking about this, like Brian Windhorst did also come out yesterday and say that Giannis has been kind of focused on Miami. Him and his team have been focused on Miami. Like, so that's the key part in all this. And I don't know if Giannis will ever even cash that chip in with Milwaukee. But if Giannis goes into these negotiations and say, listen, I'm only going to sign an extension with Miami, then he's going to go to Miami.
But he hasn't, and that's a really great point because both Windhorst and Barry Jackson down in Miami both said the same thing, which is that there has been no signal, nor is there expected to be any, that Giannis is going to say Miami or nothing. And until that happens, Miami does not have the leverage to force the Bucks' hand. Like, here's what I think is pretty clear. The Bucks are not like, oh, this is a great deal. You know what? We're probably not going to do better than this. We'll go ahead and take it. Milwaukee's like, okay, cool. If we'll come back to you if we don't find something better, which is what they should do. And Giannis is continuing to be like, well, no, I play for the Celtics. That sounds great. And I don't know how he feels about Minnesota. That seems apparent that there's no, for whatever
I'm
reason.
really surprised that there isn't more talk around Minnesota. Beyond, there's some, but I'm just surprised there's not more.
Yeah, I do think a lot of that is the money side of it, is that, and that's what I've been hearing, is like Minnesota's like been active on calls. I'm very curious about the stuff that I've heard, which is just, it sounds like there are multi-team deals being discussed involving a lot of different franchises that could get involved in this deal. Like if it comes there, that makes it more difficult to pull off though.
It's where I think all the Celtics stuff is coming from, because we know that Boston likes to keep things quiet. I'm wondering if that stuff that's getting out on the Celtics is other teams on the phone with Boston being like, hey, by the way, the Celtics are making a lot of phone calls about a lot of different things right now.
Someone in New Orleans let it loose that the Celtics had called about Jalen Brown. Like that's been out there circling. And like, that's the whole thing, is like, if you're the Celtics, you don't want anybody knowing that Jalen Brown's out there. You're like,
Right.
Nope, we love Jalen Brown. He's our guy.
Well, now there's this new bit of reporting too that, hey, the Celtics might be exploring Giannis, and it might not necessarily be for Jalen Brown. Feels a little bit like, hey, let's clean this up a little bit before things get out of hand here on that end.
Yeah. Wes, I want to ask you, if they get Trae Young and Kawhi Leonard, how do you feel about next season for the Heat? Trae Young, Kawhi Leonard, Bam Adebayo.
Because that's the other part of this report, right? It's Trae Young, in addition to Kawhi and Memphis, have emerged as another big fish backup option for the Heat in the event that they don't get Giannis. Partially quoting from the piece there from Jake Fisher. I would say this for Heat fans, like the big thing was, hey, Damian Lillard struck out, no plan B. Kevin Durant struck out, no plan B. Giannis struck out at the deadline, no plan B. This is what plan B looks like, people. Plan B for Giannis can't also be Giannis, right? It's going to be somebody that's not as good as plan A.
Why can't we get Victor Wembanyama, they ask.
Right. So yeah, I mean, if that's plan B, it's tough. I want to ask you guys a little bit about that as a plan B option, because it's not just the Heat, right? Like other teams could be interested in some of these players. I want to ask you about Young, Morant, and Kawhi on the other side of the break, plus some big NBA draft news that could potentially impact the top of the draft order. All of that coming up next. Today's episode is brought to you by Odoo. Running a business should not feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent, it's about having everybody working toward the same goal. And that's true in sports, just like it is in business. One thing that really stands out is how the organization got everyone pulling in the same direction with that decision to get everybody on the same page with inventory and sales. It wasn't just one great player or coach. It was a coordinated effort across the entire organization that made it successful. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. That's ODOO.com/lockedon. We have the most incredible NBA draft guide for you, and best part is it's free and it's loaded with information. Every pick in a mock draft with the player comps, one-sentence summaries, strengths and weaknesses, it has it all. Know everything that you need to know about the NBA draft, which is coming up next week, next Tuesday, from the experts at No Ceilings. It's the Locked On NBA Draft Guide. You can get it for free at lockedonpodcast.com/NBA Draft Guide. That's lockedonpodcast.com/NBA Draft Guide. Links are in the show notes as well. Before we get to the NBA draft news that I want to get to here, though, just a quick follow-up on our last conversation. Of the plan B options, as Jake Fisher was reporting there, it's not just the Heat, but other teams potentially looking at Ja Morant, Trae Young, Kawhi Leonard, Haize. Of that group, like, where would you go with that?
Or would I go, like, which teams?
Or what, like, if that's your plan B, like, which one of those names is most interesting to you?
I think it depends. Like, well, Kawhi, if you guarantee Kawhi, you're going to get 60 to 70 games out of Kawhi Leonard and be healthy for the playoffs. He's the guy, right? He's the one that still elevates on both sides of the ball, two-way player, all that type of stuff. But it's really team dependent, because I look at it and I say things like this, like, For the Suns, Ja Morant would make a whole lot of sense for the Phoenix Suns. A whole lot of sense for that Suns team where maybe Kawhi doesn't make as much for them. So I think it just comes down to what the team needs are. But I think Ja's probably a safe bet to be traded. We still don't know what exactly the Clippers are doing with all of this, if they're even going to move Kawhi Leonard.
I think Trae is the answer for Miami. I actually really like that fit. Well, I don't think it's real. I think he's going to be a Wizard, but I actually really like the fit. We've proven that you can capably cover for a small guard. The Knicks just did this.
Yeah, but they have Davion Mitchell too. They have another small guard.
Yeah, but Davion's awesome defensively. He's a monster.
Yeah, no, he's a dog. But it's just like, have we ever seen a tandem under 6 foot? Well, right at 6 foot guard duo do much?
I think you can do it with Davion. I think Off Night's that good.
Can I jump in really quick on this, because I think the other key part of this here that hasn't been really talked about is Miami's real plan B if they don't get Giannis is to have flexibility in 2027. Now we could debate the viability of that plan, but that's what they keep talking about. And with Trae Young, if he's going to get traded, has to opt into $49 million, which is a lot of money. And I think Trae Young's never been like, this is where his value has never been this low. He could probably make as much money, if not more, as a free agent next summer anyway.
Especially if they have success and then they sign somebody else and then use his bird rights to sign him again. That makes a lot of sense. That's a really good call, Wes.
And so you take the flyer 1 year in Trae. It doesn't work out, let him walk away. You have all the cap space that you want next year if you're Miami. And if it does work out, like you said, you have the optionality to go to re-sign him. You get off the Tyler Hero. I would assume Tyler Hero would be part of whatever trade. You get off the Hero extension ? You don't have to deal with that anymore. I think that's a part of this, for the Heat. And I actually kind of like the fit, I think it's a debate whether who's better, Hero or Trae Young. I think that's a debate of which player is better in a vacuum. But Trae Young would walk into the Miami Heat as the best passer since LeBron James. They've not had a guy that could spoon feed Bam easy baskets and pick and roll or pocket passes in a long time. It'd at least be interesting to switch things up.
Here's the question though with Trae, and this is the thing that I've always had a question for Trae, because you guys, the Miami Heat do need outside shooting. Trae Young has this reputation of being an amazing 3-point shooter, and he's really not that.
Yeah, he's not a good shooter, and he's not a good defender. He's only a good passer. He's a very, very limited player for sure. It could definitely.
I would not say he's only a good passer. Like, he's got scoring ability, but not from deep.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm with you, but here, I go to the other stuff. Trae Young is a Heat player. Okay, Trae Young never has any problems off court, doesn't cause any problems in the building, is a complete professional, shows up to work every day. No one's ever complained about Trae Young's work ethic, ever. You can complain about his play on the floor, right? That's what we see.
That's fair.
No one's ever complained about it. The same cannot be said for Ja Morant. So, like, with Ja, I love the upside of it. And, like, what if he buys in and it's like, oh, this gets you the lifestyle and this professional organization. But Ja brings with him a bunch of nonsense, and the Heat don't put up with that.
Right.
And so that makes me like, and the other thing is, like, Kawhi brings with him a bunch of nonsense in a different way.
Yeah.
Like, the Heat are not going to put up with it if Kawhi's like, yeah, I'm not, like, are you practicing today? And there's no text back. They're not going to put up with that.
No. That's why I'm surprised to see Kawhi's name here, and it reeks of desperation, if we're being honest. But, like, even the appetite to deal with, like, are you here or not? All the, like, you're kind of doing your own thing stuff after you just dealt with all of that with Jimmy Butler, and we saw how that ended.
Point. That's a great point.
I just don't know. But again, desperate teams do desperate things, so we'll see.
As a member of WizHive, if they can trade Anthony Davis and then they trade Trae Young and they get Davion Mitchell back, and it's Davion Mitchell and AJ and Darren Peterson at the 3 and Keyshawn and Sarr, I'm in.
Darren Peterson at the 3?
Yeah, screw it. We're gonna do that. We're gonna go ahead and put that high.
Well,
3 small guards, don't care.
Speaking of Darren Peterson, according to reports, he only visited the Wizards, who have the #1 pick. Does not plan to grant another team a meeting that includes the Utah Jazz there at #2. Meanwhile, AJ DeBance has visited both the Wizards and the Jazz. Of course, the Wizards and Jazz have the top 2 picks in this draft. Haize, do you think that this could affect the top of the draft at all?
I think that this top 4 is more locked in than people are willing to give it credit. You have Darren Peterson already, who's only worked out for the Washington Wizards. Caleb Wilson has only worked out for the Chicago Bulls, and it's crazy that he worked out for them the same day they hire their coach. So it seems like they've made their move there. And so I really think the biggest questions is who's going to go 2, who's going to go 3, and AJ DeBance is probably going to go 2. So I think this draft is kind of more locked in than people. Like, it's only a week to the draft, and it's probably where you want to see things start settling in at. But I think things are pretty much locked.
Tell me what you think it's locked in at.
I think Darren's going #1.
Okay.
Caleb Wilson is going #4 because I'm just basing off the workouts. So I think it's 2 and 3. That's where the flexibility is.
Okay. So here's what's weird. I don't know. I've been trying to find examples of when a top 2 pick has not worked out for a team and they've taken him. It's a lot to do that. There's examples of 3 all over. AJ did, or
Ace Bailey last year.
Ace didn't work out last year.
Jabari, for Utah, and Utah took him.
Yep. Jabari didn't work out for Houston. Evan Mobley didn't want to go to Cleveland. And he went there, right? So like, you can do this. Ultimately, it's not under your say. To me, like, honestly, part of this is like, this is not just my bias speaking, not just my bias. I would not want Darren Peterson if I'm the other franchises. I just would not. I don't even want it if I'm the Wizards, because I'm like, whoa. You think that you just get to decide? Like, you just think that like you're the good, because there's an implied nature of, I want to go to the Wizards because I get to be the guy. And if you're the Wizards, you're like, we're not going to have a guy. Like, we don't know who the guy is. Like, it might be Trae Johnson. Like, it might be you. It might be Sar. It might be Keyshawn. We don't know. Like, you got to be open to it. Yeah. These are the kind of things that make me very nervous about Darren Peterson. I have never been worried about the stuff from college where he wouldn't play or he played small minutes. I wasn't worried about all that stuff. It's this other stuff that makes me a little nervous about taking him.
It feels a little reactive, because what's the line we kept hearing about AJ Debinca over and over the last couple of weeks? He wants to be the number 1 pick. Debinca wants to be the number 1 pick. He wants it. He's competitive. He wants it. Didn't really hear that about Peterson. And I wonder if this is reactive from Peterson. Like, you want to see how badly I want to be the number 1 pick? I'll only work out with the team that has the number 1 pick. I wonder if that's part of it. Is him, and I don't know that I would have advised him to do this, but I wonder if it's a reaction to that.
I mean, he doesn't want to go to Utah because Keyshawn George is there. That's what everyone is saying. Is that Keyshawn George has shown that he's like that guy. And so he doesn't want to go somewhere where that's at. In Memphis, I think it's mostly just Memphis is Memphis. I think he can't honestly conceptualize of him sliding to 3. I think he's like, well, I'm going to go top 2. What's interesting here is sometimes the guy that was number 1 the entire way, like Paolo Banchero was number 1 throughout the entire course of the college season, and then suddenly it was Jabari Smith. And then on draft week, it's flipped back and Paolo was number 1 again. So sometimes it just reverts back. And Darren was number 1 for the entire college season. And then once we got into workout season, it became AJ. I don't know where this kind of goes. I will continue to say I do not understand all of this. This should be Cameron Boozer number 1 in the net. You can take whatever. You can figure out whatever you want the rest of the way. Cam Boozer is the best player in this draft. It's nuts to me otherwise.
Hayes, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this a little bit before, too. I do think, like, Cam Boozer, to me, shouldn't be going any lower than 2 in this draft. I think that, like, Cam Boozer, he's the most polished prospect. Yes, it may not be the sexy pick because he's not the – like, I could see Cam Boozer having the longest career out of any of these players in the top 4. And longest sustained success as well, because just the floor of his game is so high with what he does a little bit of everything. So I got to agree with Matt there.
Hey, so you said you think Peterson ends up going number 1. Matt, I don't know that you said, most people in our Locked On mock draft, we all have Debinca going to Washington number 1. That's sort of been the consensus, but do you think it's flipped now?
No, I think it's AJ. I still think it's AJ.
Going to the Wizards.
I think this is Peterson driven. Yeah. That is what I think of all this stuff is the convert. Like, it's funny again, Fisher reports other teams are interested in Trae Young, and the conversation becomes, are the Wizards trading Trae Young? And then the same thing is happening here where it's like Darren Peterson wants to go to the Wizards. Are the Wizards taking Darren Peterson? And the Wizards are sitting here going like, we didn't say anything.
Stop talking about us.
Yeah.
Right. It'll be interesting to see. I kind of think Peterson might end up going number 1. Hayes, you said something like earlier where you said teams just fall in love with athleticism, especially during this point. And there's no doubting Peterson is the top athlete of this group, right? When you watch that high school tape, especially like what he's capable of doing, I just wonder if the Wizards just be like, you know what are we really doing here? Maybe we did overthink it. Peterson's kind of been the number 1 prospect in this class for 2 years.
Yeah, he's been the number 1 prospect in this class for so long. Like, I get it, and I get that there are concerns. And like Matt, I'm not worried about the whole missing out games in college. I think that they kind of already predetermined that even before he agreed to go there. But I do think we can sometimes think ourselves out of it. He was the consensus number 1 for a long time.
Yeah,
you're supposed to take the best player, and they do. Like, that's a given. Like, everyone just says always take the best player. I get it. I understand it. I do. But I also think I just keep coming back to take the best player for your organization. Like, what you value matters, and so fit matters from a cultural level too.
Yep.
And I just keep like, part of me is like, if you don't make Darren Peterson the guy, there's going to be problems. If you don't make AJ Debinca the guy, there's probably going to be problems. You can take Cam Boozer And Cam's going to be like, oh, no problem. I'll be a connector. And I can space the floor and I'll do all these other things for you. No problem. Like, what? Take that guy.
Yeah. It's the argument for Bowie over Jordan, right?
Fair point.
I remain higher on Peterson than you guys, but I recognize I could totally be wrong. But Peterson did beat the Bants every time when they played one-on-one, Matt. Just
Peterson's a great fit for the Miami Heat. They should trade Bam for Peterson.
Maybe not Bam, but we'll Jovic and a couple picks.
Bam and some picks.
There you go. If you like what you heard today, subscribe today to Locked On NBA Daily, wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you back here tomorrow for Locked On NBA Daily.